An addiction recovery center in Wytheville is looking to find what leads a person to drug use. 10 News reporter Arisha Jones talks with experts about their search for answers.
Training on how to support patients who have experienced trauma as a way to get to the root cause of opioid addiction is the goal for Wytheville Recovery.
We have increased our patient count, and we do see many of our patients, with large numbers of adverse childhood experiences and trauma in their background.
This event is giving people the tools to ask the right questions.
Did you grow up in a household of domestic violence? Did you have a family member that was incarcerated growing up? Did you have someone in your family that was also a drug addict or an alcoholic?
It's also the effort by Wytheville to help those with opioid use disorder reclaim their lives.
People don't wake up one day and decide to become a drug abuser.
Christopher Freeze is a former special agent in charge of the FBI in Mississippi.
If you want to understand workplace violence, you want to understand what happens in school shootings, if you want to understand the opioid problem, 3 words: adverse childhood experiences.
And there was one particular situation that started his journey to become more trauma-informed.
Where we had an individual who was engaged in online activity that we were concerned about whether or not they were supporting international terrorism. The problem is, he was 17 years old.
Local clergy, first responders, law enforcement, and others in the community say this is another way to fight the opioid epidemic in a holistic way. In Wytheville, Arisha Jones, 10 News, working for you.